Nobody said this would be easy.
Nobody said this would be easy. That is correct. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to Ratatouille. As you can see, I've skipped ahead a little bit. This is not where I was at the end of the last video, because as I mentioned before, quite a bit of running around and not really knowing what to do next on my end. But once in the last video, I had the amazing realization that you can kill the crabs with the spoon, which I knew, but, you know, kind of forgot. And yeah, I'm busy getting attacked by the fucking shrimp asses. Yeah, doing this became much easier, and you get up on these things, and you can do all sorts of fun stuff, like carry this hot sauce, and then remember that you're gonna get stabbed by the urchin thing if you bring that over first to get rid of the lobster behind it, so you have to get the spoon and then hit the spiky guy. And then you put the spoon down and realize that that pot didn't even have the lobster in it. It's that one down there. And oh, there's a little bouncy boy over here. And wouldn't you know it, there's another dream level up here. And it's the last dream level of the game. And it's also one of my least favorite because it's another dirty dish themed one, which just isn't my thing. I don't know. I prefer the food ones. Also, I'm just now noticing that Ratapult up there. That is probably how you get up to that Ratapult up on the other thing in the opposite corner of the little kitchen area. And that's probably how you get onto the fucking stoves that I was talking about last time. So, cool. I'm great at video games. Anyway, this one's pretty annoying. As you can see, it's kind of easy to fall off of these things, and I do a lot of that in this level. But it is a dream level, and I mean, it's fine. Like I said, it's not really one of my favorites. But since this is the last video of the LP, if you can believe it, I wanted to talk about something that I have neglected to really say anything about for much of this run, which is talk about the movie Ratatouille and why I like it, because I believe I said at the beginning of this LP that it is one of my favorite animated movies of all time and up there with my favorite Pixar movies. And those are both correct and true statements that I still believe. I haven't watched Ratatouille in several months, but I have seen it literally dozens of times. It is also one of Liv's favorite movies, so there was one period of time where we watched it like several times over the course of a month or two for some reason. I watched it a ton when I was a kid, and I owned it on DVD and in between. So, I mean, it's, you know, a almost 13-year-old movie. It's been around a while. It was one of my faves growing up, and so I've seen it a good number of times. And, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of, like, where to start in describing, like, what I think is good about this. And yeah, you really just shouldn't jump when you're on those pan handles. And watch out for the hot butter. Yeah, that's total dog shit. But whatever. I'm trying to think of where... Well, I mean, as I've noted before, the animation in the movie is beautiful. I would say it holds up pretty impressively for a movie that is over a decade old. It's still... I mean, like, you can definitely notice... There's a noticeable difference between, like, the sort of textural detail in the animation between, like, Toy Story 3, which came out in 2010, not long after Ratatouille, kind of in the same sort of era of computer animation, versus Toy Story 4 from last year. when it comes to like the particle animation, cloth, human skin, light, fur, water, all of those things. They've improved for sure since a decade ago. It is noticeable, especially if you watch a lot of animated movies and movies with animated effects, which are most movies today. So, but it still holds up, and I think it really strikes a good balance between like cartoony and like caricatured. I mean, the characters are all silly looking. I mean, Linguini with his big old nose, and Skinner being the way he is, and I mean, there's cute little talking rats in it, so but also very like believable and lifelike. I think all of the environments in the movie feel really like lived in and believable. And notice that I'm taking pains to say believable and not realistic, because realistic is an aesthetic choice, and Ratatouille is not realistic because there are some things about how it looks and how characters move that isn't entirely naturalistic or realistic looking. But it's not trying to be. It's, a stylized cartoon, but in three-dimensional animation looks very, as I said before, believable. And as I've talked about before in this LP, the food looks actually very appealing. So that's really cool. And I don't know, I think it's one of Pixar's funniest. I think it has a lot of good humor in it. I can't think of any like great examples off the top of my head, but like a lot of the physical stuff with Linguini is really, really funny to me and fun to watch. And just in general, the way the movie moves and feels is very nice. And then on a story and thematic level, it mostly, like most stories, sort of culminates in the end. And if you haven't seen Ratatouille, spoilers for the ending, I guess, but they make Ratatouille for the food critic, and it makes him have like a flashback to his childhood when his mother would make him Ratatouille to cheer him up, and it melts his cold heart, essentially. He is a very joyless and analytical food critic who, I think one of his best and most telling lines is, I don't like food, I love it. If I don't love it, I don't swallow. So it's like all about just the sort of like status sort of thing for him, where, it's about being in a position of being able to control expectations and tastes, or inform expectations and tastes. Which in the film, like, very explicitly is known to, like, have ruined Gusteau's, that like, cost him 2 stars. In the game, it's only 1, but it's because... 1 is because Gusteau died, and 1 is because Anton's review said that it sucks. And, I like that a lot, and especially the scene after where you hear him read out his review. This is me, like, looking around trying to find out how I would get on the stoves just as a last minute before I do this last part here, but no luck in me figuring that out at that time. So yeah, now we're making the dish for the critic, for Anton Ego, which is not Ratatouille. It's a bunch of random bullshit, apparently. And I didn't know about this entire section that has a bunch of bullshit that I didn't do anything with. But whatever, doesn't matter. And yeah, this is basically like that one from the market level, except you're turning dials, and it's Remy. I like him little shuffling around and just, just nonchalantly turning these knobs. But anyway, I really like the part with the review because it's basically him saying like, I forget the thing verbatim, but the best part of it is that, like in a critic's life, we don't really make anything that, like, we're not as affecting on culture. These are not his words, but I haven't seen the movie in a while, so I don't remember the exact thing. We almost never make anything as meaningful as the worst garbage. Like, the worst garbage is more meaningful than our criticism designating it garbage, basically, I think is the general way that he puts it. This is a very silly thing. I don't know why they don't just have Linguini or Colette do this part rather than this very slow thing with the rats, but whatever. And I don't know why it shifts back and forth over and over again. It really fucks me up and makes it take even longer for me to know what I'm doing in this one that I already suck at. But I like what the movie has to say about criticism and about creativity, about, because, I mean, it is about an artist, someone who has a talent, who can't practice it because of what he is and what his species represents. I mean, I don't know if I would say it's like an allegory for racism, but I have heard people say that it's a bit of an immigrant story in a way. And I could see that, but it's certainly about being, shut out of a profession because of, I mean, it's very clear that they see rats. I mean, it's kind of, obviously intuitive for human beings in real life to see rats as like low and dirty, but in the movie where they are, full thinking conscious beings that are capable of artistic expression through food and other things, obviously it's not cool to feel like that. And the movie goes in a lot of interesting directions with Remy, like, using someone else to fulfill this dream, and like especially later on when they have stuff about like Linguini is the only one that can really take credit publicly, and then when everybody finds out, and the end is just so perfect because it's Remy literally just shattering when they reveal that it was him who cooked it, and they show Anton cooking, Remy cooking the ratatouille. It just completely shatters his idea of what the parameters for art are. And the reason that it shatters it is not just because it's rep. He made something that actually made him feel something, which is something that no human has done for Anton in God knows how long. Something that not only did he swallow it, but he genuinely loves it, and it makes him have a connection with a memory and brings him back to a time where he wasn't so cynical as an adult. And I think when you expand, the reason that I keep saying an artist, other than the fact that I think food and cooking very much are art forms in their own way, I think you can very easily extend Remy's cooking and Anton's criticism of the food and everything and relationship with the dish that he makes to any sort of art form. And, like, the idea that that's what art should do is make us harken back to who we are at our core or in our childhood. And I love this stare down. And I actually chuckled when that happened when I was recording this, the cabbage tumbleweed. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. I don't want to go into a whole thing about it. I've thought for a long time about making a video essay about Ratatouille, but it wouldn't be much more than what I just said in reality. But anyway, here we are with the last chase sequence, and this is like my 90th try, actually. I kept getting fucked over by these giant pans of sticky stuff, because if you get stuck in that one, you're pretty much fucked. Like, he's going to get it, and they're very unforgiving with these pans. But yeah, this is definitely the most difficult and sort of most frantic of the chase sequences, and the one where you can do the least of the rat scurrying, because there's just so many things you have to weave around, and kind of can't do that with the run thing. And yeah, they're of course not a perfect run. Can't have that. That would just be too much. I think I got 2 perfect chase sequence runs in this. I love hopping on the plates with the big guy. I forget his name. They really did not bother making his face look not like it was painted on a big block. And holy shit, the movie does not include like the entire restaurant falling apart. Or Skinner dying. In the movie, they just tie him up and put him in a closet, and then they release him. But in this one, they fucking kill him.
Chef, it looks like Gusteau's is ruined.
So with Gusteau's closed down, the spirit of the place, the soul of great cooking, lives on at La Ratatouille. Because Linguini and I understand something that Skinner never will. It is something Gusteau preached his whole life. Anyone can cook, but only the fearless can be great.
That's it. Yeah, as I said before, it's a little bit weird that all that stuff about, like, stealing food is just kind of by the wayside, doesn't really resolve itself as far as the game is concerned. And a little bit different than the movie ending, because again, in the movie, they just tie him up, and then they eventually have to let him go after the good review comes out, and he exposes that there are a bunch of rats in the kitchen, because the health inspector was in there as well. And so that's why they get closed down, not because they destroy the fucking restaurant, which, why did that happen again? Like, the pillars just started falling over. I don't understand. Just from him chasing a rat around. I don't know. I don't get it. But I like the movie ending better, because then they open La Ratatouille with the rat restaurant, which, I mean, they refer to at the end there. And, it's with Remy being the cook, so, I would assume, and there's a rat on the thing, and obviously, this is a thing that people know about that happened at Gusteau's, so, it's like a place where people are aware that rats or a rat is cooking, but they're cool with it, and it's like a hip kind of place, and that very much keeps the whole reading I have of it being about art forms coming from marginalized or second class people, but that there's an audience for it after it gets that little boost. I don't know, I just think it's nice. It's a very nice movie. It takes place in Paris, so that's a lot of it is very pretty. The music by Michael Giacchino is wonderful. I am not going to try to pronounce it, but the song by Camille that is in the movie, that is also now like a TikTok meme song, apparently. Not that they don't play it, but people sing it. I don't really get it, but I don't get anything that's happening on TikTok, if I'm being honest. But anyway, yeah, that was Ratatouille, the video game. I really enjoy this game. I had a lot of fun playing through it. I hope that people liked watching it. It's a fun game. I recommend it. It's obviously, as you can see, it's pretty short. It's not insanely challenging, but there are parts that I think are genuinely kind of, like, hard. And I'll show it in a little bit. I'm not going to show all of these credits because they go on 5 ever, but I'll show in a moment that all the extra stuff you can buy. You can use your Gusto points to purchase different game modes. So you can play the dream levels and the slide levels, and there's time challenges you can do. You can this actually does have co-op multiplayer, so you can do like challenges with your friends or whatever. Full health bar, hell yeah. But I mean, you'll see that in just a moment. I'm not gonna show those things. Maybe down the line I can't imagine I'd make a video out of it, but maybe I'll stream it or something. But yeah, there's also concept art and videos and things. Yeah, you can do cooking challenges. It's all pretty neat. But I like this game. I think it has, I think the gameplay is very, like, simple, but it's consistent. It's satisfying to play. Like, I don't know, it just feels nice to play, to have these worlds that are big because you're a tiny little rat and using the different objects to get around, and you're scurrying around and doing the heists and stuff. There's some concept art. Yeah, it's just a good time. I don't know, I just like the environments, I like the gameplay, and I like the underlying movie, the reason that the game exists is nice as well. So, and it's one that I have a lot of good childhood memories from. So I'll see you next week for my next Let's Play. Thank you for watching.